guys, this is Roni K95 here, and once again, it is time for a movie review, because I'm here to get in the entry on some movie reviews. Well, this is not exactly a Disney movie review or an American movie review, but this is my entry on Italian cinema that I'm reviewing, because, you know, movies that were released in Italy as well. And those are the movies that I have been literally getting into on my first entry to Italian cinema. So today's movie review, we're going to be reviewing one of my favorite movies that are part of Italian cinema with Bud Spencer. They called him Bulldozer. So, if y'all don't know about the movie They Call Him Bulldozer, I'm just going to give you a quick little rundown about it, because this movie was directed by the director who worked on the later films, such as who worked on Sheriff and the Satellite Kid, Bomber, and its sequel, Chissà perché capitano tutti e me, Why Did You Pick on Me, which is ironically, it's the follow-up to the Sheriff and the Satellite Kid, because I just wanted to come by for this as well, accordingly, because this is a lot very interesting as well. Because I just wanted to come by for some greatest Italian cinema in movies as well. Despite that this movie was released in the 70s as well, because some of the filming location in it was filmed in Livorno, Italy, which we'll get to in just a moment. So let's dive into the review on this movie. This is They Called Him Bulldozer. So the plot in the movie They Call Him Bulldozer, where it starts off with Bulldozer, who is a former American football player who retired to gave himself wandering life on a boat as a sailor, played by Bud Spencer, to stop on the port of Livorno due to the damage of the engine, was rammed by a submarine when he met Sergeant Kempfer's soldiers in the nearby U.S. base called Camp Darby, which is basically known in the film Camp Durban, It was dedicated to the bullying local youths, so the contenders never miss an opportunity just to face each other between the fights and jokes. So later that one evening, Bulldozer challenges Kempfer to an arm wrestling and beats him. So the strength and the humiliation attract the sympathy of the boys to him and increase the anger of the non-commissioned officer, mindful of a bet lost years earlier, precisely because of this, of the former player, so the revenge continues by preventing the supply of the spare part, named Thompson Optimizer, obviously, for the boots engaging available only at the warehouse of the U.S. Command, and Kempfer himself, so the coach of his football team after the brawl, in which this time what he was also participates, Bulldozer deceptively attracted by the boys to an improbable match with the prize up for the grabs. So Bulldozer, having managed to repair the boat, even with the proper pulverizer, but it initially declines their invitation to lend himself as a coach. So one evening, one of the boys named Spitz is attacked by thugs from an illegal gambling den, and Bulldozer reserves himself the first tells the real reason for beating for initially lying, assuming his own fault, of how the real reason is withdrawal from football, which has occurred to match fixing. However, he understands of how important the challenges for the boys, convincing himself to prepare for themselves for the match. Once on the field, the Americans delay the first half without overpaying their hand, them finding themselves on Kempfer's orders, playing on extremely hard and violent game. It's just basically how they wanted to get him back to the whole breathtaking thing of how they wanted to get him back to the football in this particular movie as well. Accordingly, it's just give you a word for this as well. Beating their opponents and annoyed by the excessive and unjustified violence of the Rangers team, so Bulldozer decides to wear the football outfit as a comeback, returning the due to the Americans and sending the spectators into raptures. So the boys, who seems to suddenly regain all their energy, do the rest surprised by this unexpected move. Kempfer also takes off the role of the coach just by challenging him on the field, where this time he has to surrender to the newfound power of his usual opponent. Yeah, and that's how it was before Bulldozer won, and that's how you end the movie, with the song by Oliver Onions in the movie. So that's the basic plot for the film, like They Call Him Bulldozer's about. Despite that this movie, They Call Him Bulldozer, has the music was composed by Guido and Maurizio De Angelis, also known as Oliver Onions in Italy. This movie was directed by Michele Lupo, who worked on Sheriff and the Satellite Kid, Buddy Goes West, and Bomber. It was the which ironically, the movie Bomber is a lot more similar, which is like the boxing version of They Call Him Bulldozer, but it's a lot more different, as I suppose. Yeah, this particularly of how you ever wanted to come by for Italian cinema when it comes to having movies that were filmed in Livorno, Italy, because the biggest thing for the film, like They Call Him Bulldozer, is considered to be one of the most greatest movies that got into the whole breathtaking thing of this as well. Come to think of it, because this all has got to the point out, is that particularly, despite that it was filmed, well, both these movies, like They Call Him Bulldozer and Bomber, are the first couple of movies that Bud Spencer was in. It was filmed in Livorno, Italy, as well, because Livorno, Italy's in Italy, especially because there's a lot of real thing for this as well. Yeah, because I just wanted to come by for Italian cinema, like They Call Him Bulldozer, or particularly how the biggest thing is that when this movie was first released in 1978, here's the thing about some of the footage has been, there were different versions of They Call Him Bulldozer. 13 minutes of the footage was cut when it was first released in Germany, which is very interesting. The other two missing, the longer two sequences of how Bud Spencer beating up Joe Bugner was cut from the German release version. However, in the Italian version on TV, it was completely intact. Because this is just basically how these different versions of considered how They Call Him Bulldozer has these alternate versions on there. If I ever want to come by for Italian cinema, especially, because I just wanted to know for this as well. And its very own little stigma to the whole point of considering how the movie like They Call Him Bulldozer has gotten to my case, though, is that this is, I'm gonna have to say, is that this is a very good thing, though, I guess. You know, some of the parts were filmed in Marina di Pisa in Tuscany, in Italy. It's basically for the filming and the productions for when they worked on the film, like They Call Him Bulldozer. Or has a lot to do for this movie, though. If you ever want to tune in for a movie for Italian cinema, because this is all interesting, because there's a lot of movies that were released like this as well. Accordingly, if I can remember all of this as well, if I remember, yeah. Because this was basically going by different titles for the film, like They Call Him Bulldozer. In the original title, it just goes by Lo Chiamavano Bulldozer, because, or Bulldozer in English, which is in Canada as well. They Call Him Bulldozer, oh yes, the English title worldwide and also in the United Kingdom, because there's a lot of movies like this that were released in the 70s at the time as well, because, or sometimes, you know, this movie goes by Uppercut, because despite that, this movie's an Italian action comedy film, because this movie has got to the best of how it gets very good for a movie like They Call Him Bulldozer. I mean, like, if you watch it, like, okay, in the original Italian dub version of the movie, Bud Spencer's lines were dubbed by Italian voice actor Glauco Onorato, which is only in the Italian dub version. However, in the English version, his voice was dubbed by, the lines were dubbed by the English voice actor named Robert Summer or something. Yeah, because, you know, it's just basically, he hasn't given any lines for whenever he did the movie, so they had to hire a voice actor to particularly, for the whole point of this as well, of how he wanted to come by. Considering the fact, this is the only Bud Spencer movie, because, you know, Terence Hill was never in this movie, though, because, well, this is a lot more different than the other previous movies that Terence Hill and Bud Spencer did in the 70s and the 80s as well, because this all has got to this as well, accordingly, because, especially for the whole point of view of this as well, because this is all has got to my case, though, of how this has got to the whole, despite movies like They Call Him Bulldozer, is basically those longer Italian versions, some of them were edited, as well as some of the scenes have been cut. Oh, Robert Sommer has been dubbing Bud Spencer's lines, especially for English dubs as well, due to Bud Spencer's thick Naples accent when he was dubbed by actor Glauco Onorato. That's only in the Italian dub. However, in the English version, his lines were dubbed by Robert Sommer, especially if you ever watched a certain movie like this as well. The production's very good. It's very well written. The story's very good, and it's very well written for a good of how you wanted to make a Italian action comedy film like They Called Him Bulldozer. Just to considering for this as well. And the characters, they're very great on here, because especially of how their personalities as well, because especially for that, some of the characters has its moments as well. For the story, it's very good, and for overall, if you want to watch an Italian action comedy film, if you've ever been a fan of Terence Hill and Bud Spencer's movies, or if you've ever been a fan of Bud Spencer's movies that you love to enjoy or to binge watch, They Call It Bulldozer is the real reason why this has got to me as well, because this is particularly, I consider it as one of my favorite Bud Spencer movies from the 70s, because I just wanted to come by for Italian cinema as well. Even though he had the partnership with Terence Hill, with the success of the Trinity movies, it all has got to this as well. Many of them have been done very well, because this all has got to the curiosity of this as well. My thoughts on this film? Well, to me, They Call Him Bulldozer, I considered it to be one of my favorite movies, right next to Bomber, which is one of Bud Spencer's later movies in 1982, because, well, They Call Him Bulldozer is basically just a retired football player, with how he could say it, retired to his life on the boat. As for Bomber, he was a former boxing player when he retires on his life on the docks as well, because they wanted to bring him back to the sports thing as well. Excuse me. I could put this movie on the par with Bomber as well. My score for the movie, I'm going to give this a 10 out of 10, because this has been a long time since I've watched this movie, like, lots of times, because I have saw it in English, and it's a very good movie, that's why. Because, especially if you ever want to come by for Italian cinema, that's why. So that's going to be it for my movie review on They Call Him Bulldozer for today's movie review. Thank you for watching, but before we go, here's what I'm going to say for this one. Well, this is the very first time that I have wanted to review a Bud Spencer movie. Even though I have reviewed some of Terence Hill and Bud Spencer movies, but this is the first time I wanted to review a Bud Spencer movie like They Called Him Bulldozer, because to me, this movie, They Called Him Bulldozer, is one of my favorite Bud Spencer movies, because this is my favorite. I'm going to put this right next to Bomber, which is my second favorite Bud Spencer movie, because I just wanted to come by of how I wanted to watch some Italian cinema, that's why. Because I love watching Italian cinema. And this challenges me as a moviegoer whenever I come by for introduced to Italian cinema, that's why. Hope subscribe for more content. Be sure to subscribe to my channel, especially if you're new to my channel. Smack the like button if you enjoyed the video. Hit the notifications bell button. Be sure to get notified also as well for more latest updates, just to keep you notified as well. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. What do you think of the movie They Call Him Bulldozer? Let me know your thoughts. That's going to be in the comments, right in the comments section below. And be sure to smack the like button if you enjoyed the video. Be sure to check out my Anime Planet or Analyst, because I've been getting in a letterbox, that's why. And that's all I have what I got for today. Well, if you want to binge watch a movie like They Call Him Bulldozer, check it out. I highly recommend you to check out this movie. If you haven't, because I can put this movie on the par right next to the other Bud Spencer movie, Bomber, which ironically it was Michel Lupo's last movie. The director of They Call Him Bulldozer directed it in 1982, though. I could put these movies on the par as a double bill as well. Which ones do you like the best? I like Bomber, even though it's my favorite. If I had to pick one, I would say They Call Him Bulldozer. Bomber is a good Bud Spencer movie, in my opinion. Well, to me, both of them are my favorite movies. They're good, in my opinion. Good movies, though. This is Ronnie K95 saying, thank you for watching my video, and I'm glad you liked it. Hope you enjoy it. Hope to see you soon for the next video. Be sure to stay safe and stay healthy, and have a great day. This is Rony K95 signing off. Thanks for watching my video, and I will see you soon for more videos that I got in plan for what's in store. Take care. Ta-ta for now for this movie review. Take care. Hope you have a happy Thanksgiving.